Good morning. Happy Father's Day. Happy summer solstice. And happy Gay Pride. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg's virtual worship service. I'm James Mack, a member of the worship committee. When Reverend Jack is away, the worship committee is often in charge of the service. Whether it's your first time to worship with us or your 100th time, we hope that you will find here questions that stretch you and liberal religious values that challenge you to join us in loving boldly, living justly, and welcoming radically. Now, here's Jamey Gray with a few announcements.
It's announcement time, so please read your church emails, check out our meetings and schedules on the church website, Infonet, and our e-newsletter. There's a lot going on despite our physical isolation. One other announcement. You might have noticed on our YouTube videos that there is now a link for you to easily contribute to our church. Please click on the white circle with the I in the upper right hand corner to donate to the important work of UU St. Pete. Thank you.
Our opening words by the late American composer and lyricist Jeri Herman. I am what I am, and what I am needs no excuses. Now Jeri and Sabine will light the chalice. If you have a chalice or candle in your home, please feel free to light it along with them.
We begin this morning's service by lighting the chalice. If you have a chalice or a candle, feel free to light it. Let's say the words together that remind us of our commitment to one another. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Thanks, Jeri and Sabine. It is good to be together, if only virtually. Today, we'll be treated to a story from Children's Religious Education Coordinator Jeanay Johnson, original readings by Jamey Gray. I'll be sharing my journey, and there'll be music by my husband, John Arterton, and me. Now, speaking of John, here he is to lead us in a hymn.
You know what we're going to do now? No? We're going to sing a hymn. Yeah, we're going to sing Holly Near's great song, We Are a Gentle, Angry People. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing singing for our lives.
Hi, my name is Jeanay Johnson, and I'm the RE coordinator here at Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, Florida. Today, for the Story of All Ages, I will be sharing a story about pride, the story of Harvey Milk and the rainbow flag. Now, on June 25th of 1978, history was made when a new flag unfurled in San Francisco, California. From that moment forward, the flag in its rich beaming colors of the rainbow would serve as a symbol of hope and pride for the millions of LGBTQ individuals across the world. In this moving and inspiring story, young readers would trace the life of the gay pride flag from its beginnings with social activist Harvey Milk and designer Gilbert Baker to expanding of the globe and its role in today's world. This remarkable true story is one of love, of equality, of hope, and of pride. Now, Harvey's big voice and his dream would not be stopped. He discovered the best way to change laws was to help make laws. So in 1977, Milk took a big step towards a dream that he didn't even think he can do. He became the first openly gay elected politician in the office of the United States. He and his friends planned marches to protest inequality and unfair laws. And just days before one of those marches, he had an idea. That idea inspired the creation of this flag. I hope you guys take time to actually check out this story and read it with your family and friends. It is an excellent book. Happy Pride Day, everybody. Bye.
Now for our reading. Jamey Gray will share some of her own words.
Good morning from beautiful Pinellas Park, Florida. It is Pride Sunday, and I would like to share some of my pride with you all with some positive affirmations today. We have lost a word from our vocabulary, and that is respect. We have lost respect for one another, for each other's feelings, for the opportunity to express a right to an opinion, for a community that is peaceful and safe to live in, for the right to worship any deity we choose, for the freedom to live any lifestyle we want, for access to health care that is equitable for everyone, for all women and men to be equal in all aspects of life. We have lost respect for one another. I am powerless to end the violence in our streets. I am powerless to stop COVID-19 from spreading. I am powerless to stop the toxic rhetoric from our president and his minions. I am powerless to end the bickering back and forth amongst Republicans and Democrats. I do have the power to love all people without judgment. I do have the power to treat all people with dignity and compassion. I do have the power to be courteous and kind to all people. I do have the power to respect all opinions, no matter if I agree with them or not. Stay safe, stay smart, and love much.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
How could anyone ever tell you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
I was born and raised in a normal middle-class Southern Baptist family in Tennessee. Now, to us, to be normal in Memphis, my hometown, in the early 60s, meant going to church at least every Sunday morning, Sunday night, and prayer meetings on Wednesday night. Like most everywhere in the South back then, I suppose. Some of my earliest memories are of Sunday school and Sunday worship services, where on at least one Easter Sunday morning, while the rest of the church was singing "Up from the grave he arose with a mighty triumph o'er his foes," I belted out, "Here comes Peter Cottontail." It's not so much that I really remember this happening, but my mother reminded me of it many, many times over the years. It's another one of my family's legends. Guess I was trying to put my own spin on Southern Baptist theology even back then. As I began elementary school and grew into adolescence, the children's and youth groups of the church were my social sphere. I tried to form close friendships with the most popular boys in my Royal Ambassadors class that met on Wednesday nights. Royal Ambassadors was sort of the Southern Baptist version of the Boy Scouts. But while I attained a degree of popularity because of my amazing sense of humor, I'd inherited my dad's dry wit and could make most anyone laugh, there was no denying I just wasn't quite like the other boys my age. This grew more apparent when I was old enough for Little League Baseball and all my friends eagerly signed up. Although my dad tried to encourage me to play baseball, I flatly refused. Never having played a game of pitch with my dad, or even been shown how to hold a glove, I wanted no part of it. Sports just didn't come naturally to me, and I had no interest. At that young age, I began to learn the lesson of what it meant to be different and to not fit in. I spoke differently and had different mannerisms than the other boys my age, and it was obvious that it made them uncomfortable. I've never forgotten the sting of my older sister's words a few years later. She was probably 15 or 16 at the time, and during a family conversation one evening, she tearfully complained to my parents that none of the boys she was interested in dating would ever come over to our house to see her because of me. I was a sissy, not like the other boys, and none of her friends could stand to be around me, she said. While that was painful enough to hear, I guess what hurt the most was that, from what I remember, neither of my parents had any response. And so it began. With no one to encourage me to feel good about me, I grew to hate who I was inside, to believe that the part of me that was different from others was wrong. I longed to be just like the other boys at school. I mean, it was obvious. If I was ever going to make any real friends at all and survive 8th grade and beyond, I'd have to be better at fitting in. At that young age, everyone wants to be like their peers. It's all about being part of the group, isn't it? What did I do? I became very self-conscious about my every mannerism and speech pattern and tried to make a new James. I desperately wanted to change my nature. The one place I still found solace was my church youth group. And while many of them were considered nerds and outcasts at school, none seemed quite as unpopular as me, at least in my mind. Sharing my religious experiences with these kids gave us a common bond we wouldn't have had otherwise, helped me feel a part of the group to some extent, and I took comfort in knowing that God loved me. Unfortunately, though, the God we were being taught about and worshiping was a God that was full of love for us only if we measured up to the standards our church leaders held for us. And all that time spent at church reinforced my fears, as I was told over and over that the Bible was the literal Word of God, a user's manual for my life, if you will, complete with instructions for every situation right there in black and white. And if I didn't follow the instructions, my manufacturer's warranty would be voided. I was never told that God loved me for me, just as the unique boy that I was. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not here this morning to criticize any religious denomination. What I am sharing is simply my own personal experience. As I grew into a teenager, and of course was expected to date, I had several unenthusiastic attempts at relationships with girls. Most of these ended the same way, as the girl would become really frustrated when I reminded her over and over that Jesus wouldn't want us to go too far. It just wouldn't be Christian. What an easy out for me, having no physical attraction to them anyway. And what good Christian young woman could argue with that? Then there were the boys I developed crushes on. Being in total denial about my sexuality, I wasn't sure why it felt so good to be around certain boys my age. But I convinced myself it had something to do with being brothers in Christ. After high school, I chose the Southern Baptist College I went to in large part because my best friend, who I was totally infatuated with, was going there and we could room together. Going away to college was a good step for me, though. It afforded my first opportunity to explore how I really felt about life, and it was there I first began to question the beliefs that I'd been raised with. Well, thank goodness for raging hormones. When I was 21 and couldn't stand it any longer, I burst out of the closet and began the wonderful, amazing journey of discovering who James really is. After coming out, I moved to New York City as my quest continued. While now a proudly gay man, I wasn't ready to seek the divine just yet, though. In fact, I didn't have any sort of spiritual practice the 13 years that I spent in New York. The painful, tender wounds from my past life in the Southern Baptist Church took a long time to heal, and they were too tender to even touch for a long time. Then, when the time was right, I guess I felt the call to move to Provincetown, Massachusetts, at the tip of Cape Cod. Not long after moving there, I was drawn to the UU Meeting House, where my spirit began to get real nourishment. Only this time, I learned to look within myself to find God, to follow the voice inside rather than arbitrary rules on a printed page. It's been quite a journey, and not always easy. All that religious dogma that had filled my brain from childhood played a big part in shaping my mind and my being. All I was taught while growing up about the hell that awaited me if I didn't obey the rules of the church, and the wrath of God that I would have to deal with if I didn't toe the line, is still here somewhere inside. Thankfully, I've learned how to deal with it, as its power over me has waned over time, and several years of therapy helped a lot too. But it looks like it will be one of those voices I'll have to choose not to listen to for the rest of my life. How might things have been different if I hadn't felt the need to deny my own unique self and imitate the other normal kids around me as I grew up? If I hadn't been taught that God hated the real me inside, that being gay was an abomination? What if instead I had been told that the person I was, awkward, effeminate ways and all, was okay? More than okay, that everything about me was a wondrous, unique creation and meant to be celebrated. What if my individuality and creativity as a child had been celebrated and encouraged instead of stifled? One of my favorite movies is Billy Elliot. It's the story of an 11-year-old boy from a working class family in England who just isn't like the other kids. The film opens as a neighborhood party is being held at his family's home. Billy's family is new to the neighborhood and trying desperately to fit in and to impress their new neighbors. While Billy's parents are entertaining downstairs, mixing cocktails and serving hors d'oeuvres to their new neighbors, co-workers, and Billy's father's boss, we see that little Billy is busy upstairs in his parents' bedroom, putting on his mother's jewelry, her bright red lipstick, and clumsily stepping into her high heels. Once he's gotten the whole outfit just right, he opens the bedroom door and begins his triumphant descent down the stairs to proudly show his new look to his parents and their new friends in the crowded living room. Well, you can imagine what happens next. I should interject here that playing dress-up in mom's clothes, while a popular gay stereotype, really has nothing to do with sexual orientation. In fact, Billy wasn't even gay. As the film continues, Billy, the son of a coal miner, is on his way to boxing lessons. Imagine whose idea that was. When he stumbles upon a ballet class, he secretly joins the class, knowing that his blue-collar family will never understand. Under the guidance of his teacher, Billy's raw talent takes flight. But when his father discovers his son's ambition, Billy must fight to hold on to his dreams. For me, the beauty of this film is this one young boy's ability to reach beyond his place in the world and follow his heart's desire. And in being true to who he really is, he becomes a wonderful success doing what he loves. And even his father supports his choices in the end. Of course, Billy Elliot is a Hollywood story and not real life. But on my path, I've learned that if we really look within ourselves and find the beauty that is there, nurture those qualities that we find, and follow that truth, we will become the unique, spiritual, holy creatures we were meant to be. It's all there inside us already. God is not only all around us, God is in us. God is us. We are one. I'll never know how my life would have been different had the real me been nurtured and encouraged to grow from the start, but I can certainly see the fruits of having been in tune with the light inside these last several years. I've rediscovered my voice. I met the love of my life in the UU Church Choir in Provincetown, and together we've been given the gift of performing together, sharing a message that the world so desperately needs to hear, and helping others find the joy of singing. I couldn't ask for more. What is it that keeps us from enjoying the freedom of being our best selves? For me, it was the shame and narrow-mindedness of my family, my friends, and my world at that time. For some, it's the need to be a success at our job, the need for acceptance by friends. For others, it's a partner's affection that we're afraid of losing that keeps us from listening to our inner voice and being what it asks us to be. But whatever the obvious reason we have for choosing to try to fit in, rather than utilizing the power to become fully ourselves, I believe the root cause is always the same: fear. For me, fear of a vengeful fire and brimstone hurling God was drilled into my psyche from childhood. Underlying my fear of being different than my peers was the fear that God would banish me to hell if I listened to my inner voice and allowed me to be who I was. For you, it might be fear of losing your friends or your comfortable life. Billy Elliot's father and my parents too, feared their son's unusual habits because they didn't understand them. It's human nature to be afraid of what we can't explain or understand. And if fear is left unchecked, we grow to hate what we fear. But we can move beyond being ruled by our fear if we acknowledge the holiness that is within every one of us, even those of us we don't especially like or can't understand. Just like the beauty we see in nature all around us, in leaves, rocks, and the beautiful mountains surrounding us here in North Carolina, each one of us is a unique, magnificent being. We each have our own special place in creation that is ours alone. No one else can be us. Trust what is inside. Trust what is inside.
This song was written by Unitarian Universalist minister and folk singer Fred Small.
It's a lullaby too few of us heard as children.
We have cleared off the table,
The leftovers saved,
washed the dishes,
and put them away.
I have told you a story and tucked you in tight.
At the end of your knockabout day,
As the moon sets its sail to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. You can be anybody that you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're gone. Some girls grow up strong and bold.
some boys are quiet and kind.
Some race on ahead, some follow behind, some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, and some men love men. Some raise children, and some never do. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible for you. Don't be rattled by names, by taunts or games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they will give the same back to you. You can be anybody that you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the holy measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're gone. Oh, the love you leave behind when you're gone.
Thank you for worshiping with us this morning. As I extinguish our chalice, please join me in the words for carrying the light forward into the world. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. Now for our closing words by 18th century Hasidic master Rabbi Zusha, who on his deathbed, with his disciples gathered about him, said, "When I get to the world to come, they will not ask me, 'Why were you not Moses?' Rather, they'll ask, 'Why were you not Zusha?'" We hope you'll join us immediately after the service for coffee hour. If you don't have the link easily accessible, you can just go to zoom.com and enter meeting number 827-799-4105. Again, zoom.com, meeting number 827-799-4105. Thanks, and we hope to see you next week.